Welcome to the Best Counsel, aka Advice I Can Offer podcast. First, I would like to make the following disclaimer. This is not an advice podcast. I do not offer advice. I offer what I consider to be counsel. Counsel is what I have learned and what I have experienced in my life journey. If something I say on this podcast resonates with you and can help you, good. But I am not telling you what to do. I am just offering counsel. Welcome to podcast 13 of the Best Counsel, aka Advice I Can Offer. Today's podcast is entitled Close the Door. Close the Door. I have always began my podcast with the disclaimer that I am not offering advice. I do this because I don't want you or anyone else going around saying Corn Brown told me to do this. The only thing I am trying to do is give you counsel on what I have done or would do. Now, having said all of this, I would like to offer you some counsel. The next time a friend or family member comes to you with a problem, be careful of telling them the obvious answer. Be careful of telling people an obvious answer to their problem. The reason I say this is because I have learned a lot of people don't like it when you tell them something they should obviously know themselves. I don't know why. Maybe they feel you are showing them up when you do this, or you're saying they are dumb or even stupid, all because you told them what the obvious answer to their problem was. To avoid any problem with anyone having a problem with you telling them the obvious, my counsel to you is walk them around the barn. What do I mean when I say walk them around the barn? A man called his best friend one night, frustrated. The friend asked him, "Why are you so frustrated?" His friend told him, "I just bought this farm and everything is great except one thing. The horses keep getting out of the barn at night." He told him, "Man, I need your help." So his friend got in his car and drove out to his friend's farm. When he got there, the horses were out loose. The friend immediately knew why the horses were getting out. But he also knew his friend, and he knew the obvious answer would upset his friend. So he took his arm and put his arm around the shoulder of his friend and started walking with him around the barn where the horses stay. They walked around the barn one time, and then they walked around the barn a second time. Then, as they began to walk around the barn the third time, his friend said, "Stop! I know why my horses keep getting out at night. I forgot to close the barn door." The answer to the problem was as simple as close the door. But instead of telling his friend the obvious answer, he allowed his friend to discover the answer for himself. Oftentimes, when it comes to our families and friends, our hearts are in the right place, but our heads are in the wrong place. I have learned that sometimes the best answer we can give others about their problem is to walk them around the barn and let them discover the answer for themselves. When people discover answers for themselves, they act on them. But when we tell them, they tend to do the opposite of what we tell them. When you know your girl's man or your boy's girl is the problem, the worst thing to do is tell them the obvious. Because instead of getting away from them, they get even closer. There are a lot of obvious things we all need to close the door on. But the only one best to figure that out is ourselves. Close the door, folks. Thanks for listening. If something I said sounds good to you, encourage someone you love to tune in to this podcast. And remember to follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter at The Best Counsel, or hit us up at thebestcounsel.com. Take care. Talk to you next time.